Sean Hunter, edit. Sean Patrick Hunter, writer strong, was born in Ohio and lived in Oklahoma for a while as a child. He had been in 5 different schools before the age of 12. Sean has been the best friend of Corey Matthews for nearly their whole lives, since the two met when Corey fell into an animal pen at a zoo, and Sean came to his rescue. Sean has a personality almost opposite Corey's. Sean takes more risks, and has more of a bad boy image. Their personality differences do cause problems between the two a few times, but these problems never destroy their friendship. Later seasons depict the relationship between Corey and Sean as being so intimate that it causes Topanga to be jealous, and several innuendos are made referencing the subconscious homoerotic nature of their friendship. In the first season of Boy Meets World, not much is known about Sean except that he is Corey's best friend. In season 2 and thereafter, the show begins to focus on Sean's life as well. In the beginning, Sean lives with both his parents, Chet and Verna Hunter. One day, Verna runs off with the trailer, and Sean is left under the care of the Matthews family, while Chet chases after his wife. When the Matthews find out that Chet will not be returning for a while, Jonathan Turner, a teacher at John Adams High School, offers to take care of Sean, and eventually to become his legal guardian. About a year later, Chet comes back and Verna temporarily rejoins her family, before eventually taking off again. Sean goes through several ups and downs throughout the show, including briefly joining a cult, and nearly succumbing to alcoholism. Similar to his father. In a later season, Sean's half-brother Jack arrives in town for college. Sean moves in with Jack and Eric Matthews, Corey's older brother, leaving Chet free to take off again. However, on a trip back to town, during which Chet attempts to reconcile with Sean and promises to finally stay, Chet dies of a heart attack. In later seasons, Sean is able to talk to Chet as a ghost. During the final episodes of the series, Sean discovers that Verna is not his biological mother when she sends him a letter after Chet's death. Apparently, Chet was left to take care of Sean after his biological mother, who was actually a stripper, left shortly after his birth. Despite the Matthews family's offer to legally adopt Sean after he discovers this, Sean declines, declaring that he still has Jack as family, and he still needs to take care of the Hunter clan. Sean is a ladies' man, a trait which Corey is constantly envious of. However, Sean is jealous of Corey's close, long-term relationship with Topanga. Later in the series, Sean falls in love with a girl named Angela. They have a tempestuous relationship, but genuinely care for each other. Angela eventually leaves as well, to travel with her military father. In the episode Fraternity Row, it is revealed that during high school Sean was challenged in writing, but Poetic License, an ode to Holden Caulfield, reveals that during college he has improved significantly, and additionally has had a lifelong affinity for poetry. He is also a skilled photographer, and nearly chooses a job at a glamour magazine company over college. At the end of the series, Sean moves to New York with Corey, Topanga, and Eric. Revealed during Girl Meets World. However, Sean left New York the day of the birth of Corey and Topanga's daughter Riley, ultimately making a name for himself as a world-traveling writer and photographer. When he returns to the city, he forms a bond with Riley's best friend Maya, sharing a similar childhood upbringing and both coming from broken homes. He also forms a bond with Maya's mother Katie, who shares a similar feeling of abandonment due to her husband and Maya's father's leaving. By the second season, Riley is hopeful that Sean will become Katie's husband and Maya's father, although Sean still has unresolved feelings for Angela. Angela returns with news that she has since married a military man, like her now deceased father, and wants advice on whether she'd be a good mother or not, which she insists can only come from Sean. Sean encourages her to be a mother, and Angela encourages Sean to pursue a relationship with Katie. Sean and Katie eventually date, and get married, and Sean becomes a father figure to Maya. 6. After directing 2 first-season episodes of Girl Meets World, writer Strong has become a fixture behind the scenes, while also making appearances in a recurring role. Season 1, Middle School, edit. The first season begins with Corey Matthews, Ben Savage, and his best friend Sean Hunter, Ryder Strong, two average sixth graders. They do not care about schoolwork, despite the efforts of their longtime teacher George Feeney, William Daniels. Initially, their main interest is sports, though later Sean, and then Corey begin to express an interest in girls. This season focuses specifically on Corey's relationships with the other characters in the show. He begins to understand his parents more and respect them for all that they do. His relationship with his elder brother Eric, Wilfriedel, becomes confusing as Eric's constant obsession with girls is foreign to Corey, and he becomes more protective of his younger sister Morgan, Lily Nixay, from this season through the end of the second season. Corey begins to show interest in Topanga, Danielle Fishel. A smart outsider in his class, though he often hides this by insulting and berating her. Corey and Topanga have known each other since they were kids, making romance in their relationship even more predictable. Corey and Sean's friendship is tested for the first time, and Corey must often choose between doing what Sean wants him to do and doing what is best for their friendship. Seasons 2 to 5, High School, Edit. During the second season, Corey, Topanga, and Sean start high school and meet Jonathan Turner, Anthony Tyler Quinn, an unconventional English teacher. Although they initially view Mr. Turner as cool, they soon realize that he is a teacher above all else, which earns him the nickname Feeney with an earring from Corey. Throughout the second season, Corey and Sean try a variety of ways to become popular with their classmates. In doing so, they nearly get into fights with school bullies, and in trouble with Mr. Feeney, now their high school principal. Eventually, though Sean becomes more popular, he maintains his close friendship with the less popular Corey. Sean's mother Verna deserts her son and husband Chet, Blake Clark, which upsets Sean greatly. Chet then leaves to find Verna. After this occurs, Sean lives briefly with Corey and his parents, but soon figures out that it's just not the right fit for him, and later moves in with Mr. Turner. Corey tries at some points to begin a relationship with Topanga, but this is mostly because he does not want to be left out of the dating game. Sensing this, Topanga is wary of his advances, and despite the mutual this season. During the third season, Corey finally admits that he wants to ask out Topanga, but cannot work up the courage to do it. Consequently, his best friend Sean asks her out. Although Corey was hurt, he soon realized Sean set the whole thing up so he could unite Corey and Topanga, and make Corey confess his feelings for her. He tells her how he feels, and they become a couple. Later in the third season, Corey and Topanga are worried that their relationship has hit a rut, and decide it would be best to break up while they are still able to keep the friendship. They get back together a few months later when Corey follows her to Disney World. To win her back, Eric spends this season desperately trying to make up for his first 3 years of slacking off in high school. He makes progress, but it is not enough. He is not accepted to any colleges or universities as of his high school graduation. He decides then to take a year off and figure things out, beginning with after finding out in the season finale that Corey feels estranged from him. Eric invites Corey along for the ride. Sean nearly makes several life-changing blunders this season, but Corey, and then Mr. Turner help him to make the right choices. Corey endures several tests of character this season, everything from being credited for a great deed, which he did not deserve, to being insistently pursued by another girl, while he is with Topanga. Sometimes Corey makes the right decision, and sometimes the wrong one, but he learns from each. The fourth season opens with Corey and Eric's return from their road trip. In this season, Eric finds himself confronted with life after high school. After having a couple of jobs and meeting people that teach him some interesting lessons, Eric decides to retake the SAT and give college another try. The Matthews patriarch Alan, William Russ, decides to quit his job and open a sporting goods store with Eric as his partner. Job to Pittsburgh, which is over 300 miles, 480 kilometers, from Philadelphia. The news devastates Corey, but Topanga runs away from her new house and returns to Philadelphia. Topanga's parents decide that she can live with Aunt Prudence, Olivia Hussey, in Philadelphia until she graduates. Sean's mother returns for a brief period, but then leaves again under unknown circumstances at some point between season 4 and season 6. That school year, Mr. Turner gets into a severe motorcycle accident in which he almost dies. The next year Eric moves out of his parents' house and begins college at the fictional Pembroke University. He moves into an apartment with Jack, Matthew Lawrence, who turns out to be Sean's half-brother. Sean clearly shows his hatred toward Jack and refuses to live with him, because he was upset that Jack never called or checked to see if Sean and his dad were doing okay. He discovers that Jack never received any of Sean's letters, or he would have come to see him immediately. However, after being convinced by his father and others around him, Sean moves in with them, but finds he has nothing in common with Jack, which causes a lot of tension. A new student, Angela, Trina McGee, moves to Philadelphia and begins to date Sean. Over winter break, the students go skiing on a school trip. Corey sprains his ankle and Lauren, Linda Cardellini, a ski lodge employee, takes care of him. The two kiss, but Corey lies to Topanga. When Topanga finds out that he lied, they break up. Corey, upset about the breakup, gets drunk and is arrested, along with Sean. Two agree never to drink again, but Sean breaks the promise and shows up at school drunk. With the help of Angela and Jack, Sean realizes that alcoholism runs in his old friend from grade school. She realizes no kiss means more than the ones she shares with Corey. Corey and Topanga reunite and attend the prom together, where they are named King and Queen. On prom night, Corey's mother Amy, Betsy Randall, announces that she is pregnant. Mr. Feeney decides to retire at the end of the school year and move to Wyoming. However, he soon returns from retirement and goes back to teaching. Topanga is accepted to Yale, but Corey does not want her to leave him. At graduation, Topanga tells Corey that she decided not to go to Yale because she wants to be with him, then she proposes. The couple's parents are upset that they got engaged so young, but Corey and Topanga decide to elope. However, at the last minute, they decide that they want to get married the right way, in front of family and friends. Seasons 6 to 7, College Edit. Sean, Corey, Topanga, and Angela join Jack and Eric at Pembroke. Rachel McGuire, Maitland Ward, a new student from Texas, moves in with Eric and Jack, causing tension as both boys have crushes on her. Angela and Sean break up due to his claim that they should meet new people and, despite Corey's efforts, decide to stay just friends. They eventually are brought back together by way of Angela's father during his visit to the college, recruiting students for his ROTC program of basic training in the Army. Mr. Feeney returns to take some classes, but then is offered a teaching job at the university. During their freshman year, Stuart, played by Ben Savage's older brother Fred Savage, one of their professors, makes inappropriate and unwelcome sexual advances towards Topanga, causing Corey to shove him through a glass door at the student union. Corey is suspended but for only one day. The dean, Bonnie Bartlett, believes that Stuart had crossed the line. Mr. Feeney and the dean eventually gain feelings for one another and begin dating. Corey and Topanga face a major obstacle in their marriage plans when Topanga's parents go through a divorce, and she decides to call off the wedding. She breaks up with Corey completely and tells him that she doesn't believe in love. Topanga is convinced that she is doing what is best for herself and Corey until her mother comes to explain everything and tell her that love is worth the risk. Chet dies of a heart attack, and Jack reacts by admitting feelings for Rachel. They start dating, which causes problems for Jack and Eric. Crushed, Eric decides to move out of the apartment so that he doesn't get in the way of Jack and Rachel, and later sleeps in Mr. Feeney's car. Sean goes on a road trip to deal with his father's death, saying he won't come back. He does return, however, when the new Matthews baby, Joshua, is born prematurely and has a small chance of survival. Sean receives a letter from his mother, confessing she is not a biological parent. Sean unsuccessfully searches for his biological mother. Alan offers to adopt Sean, but he decides that it was not necessary because Sean knows that he is already part of the family. Sean and Corey have challenges in their relationship throughout the season, including on the day of Corey's wedding. Sean admits that he is no longer Corey's best friend and gives him away to Topanga. Despite this, their friendship remains intact, but Topanga sometimes feels left out. Corey and Topanga get married and move into a shabby apartment for married couples on campus. They struggle for a while, wondering why Alan and Amy refuse to help them, but Alan later admits that he didn't want to deprive them of the joy and bonding that comes with building a life together when you're new to marriage. They eventually make it a wonderful home, and realize that they are capable of doing things on their own as a married couple. The group is growing up. They have to start thinking about what to do with their lives. In one episode, the newer friends get involved in a prank war with the originals, Jack, Rachel, and Angela versus Corey, Sean, and Topanga, which ultimately results in an ill-considered prank that exposes a very private secret of Rachel's. The friends are almost completely torn apart by all of this, until Eric and Mr. Feeney intervene by reminding them of the importance of their relationships and, as a result, everyone makes up. In the series finale, Corey, Topanga, Sean, and Eric all head to New York City, where Topanga has been offered a dream internship at a law firm. Angela decides to move overseas with her father, and Jack and Rachel join the Peace Corps in Guatemala. The final scene has Corey, Topanga, and Sean having a final meeting with Mr. Feeney in their old 6th grade classroom, along with Eric, with each one telling him how important he is in their lives and to cherish each other forever.